Well, hello, educator friends, and welcome to the School Life series. I'm your host, Ross Braun, and I am so glad you're here today. This podcast is created for educators across the country. The people doing the real work in schools every single day. Each episode features real educators, real stories, and real strategies to help you not only survive the work, but stay connected and remind you why you became an educator in the first place. On every episode, we will bring you fresh ideas, strategies, and perspectives, allowing you to grow in your profession, learning from the best educators all over the country. Season 4 is all about sustaining educators, strengthening schools, and staying human in this profession. I'm so excited to kick off today's episode. Let's do it. Well, today we are continuing right into season 4 with one incredible guest, speaking on a topic that I think every single educator needs to hear. And so today is an edu rock star. Truly, you're going to find out here in a minute. An author, a founder of Celebrate Good Times, wife, mom, friend. Of course, she's an amazing human being because she wouldn't be on here if that's not the case. Kim Gameroz is our guest, and we are diving into her expertise, which is just SEL. We're also going to discuss her brand new book that just released. So this is one episode that you're going to want to stick around for. It's going to be motivating, inspiring, and it's going to make you a better educator. So Kim, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the School Life series.
Ross, thank you for having me. This is just the best. I knew as soon as I was seeing all of your posts online, like on Instagram, I was like, oh, he's my people. We belong
Yeah.
together. Let's do this.
Isn't that so true? Like, there's certain people there you connect with, and it's great, and you respect what they're doing. There's other people, and you're like, yeah, like she needs to be in my circle. Like same
Yes.
thing. This is my type of person. I love the work that you're doing, just the passion you have for your work. So we are going to get to know you now a little bit more. I know I gave you an intro, but I always like to start just on a personal note because I think that's so important. In education is, we are all humans here in this work. So tell us who you are, where you're from.
Oh my gosh. Well, originally born and raised Southern California, both my husband and I, we grew up together
That's
in
cool.
Irvine, Orange County, and we
Yeah.
went to elementary school and middle school and high school together, but we were not friends, not part of the same circle at all.
Wow.
And it wasn't until after college that we got together and we got married, had a son, and then it wasn't until COVID where we were like, "Okay, we gotta get out of Southern California," and we moved to we're just north of Dallas, we're in McKinney, and so when I'm here, I just like to just a little bit ago, I was out in the sun with my hibiscus, dreaming of Hawaii. I took a yoga class, did some work. That's me. I pour into teachers, of course, but, it's my family, it's my home, it's my Frenchie puppy. They're the ones that do it for me for sure.
Yeah, I love that, and I've noticed that about you, and again, something that's drawn me to that is, like, whether you wanna call it balance or whatever word you wanna use, like, you have it, we are all humans in this work, and we have to take care of ourselves before we even think about taking care of others, and I'm sure you have. I know I have been guilty of the opposite at certain points in our life, in our career and seasons, and you've figured it out. I like to think I've figured it out as well, and so now we get to share it with others. How do we do this? So now let's talk a little bit about your professional journey in education. What led you into becoming an educator? Where did you start that journey? Where has it taken you?
Oh, it's crazy. I have a degree in psychology from Cal State Long Beach. And at the time, I was thinking, I'm going to be a school counselor. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
was thinking until I realized that I had to go back to school. And I was like, I'm done. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
And so I started teaching dance. I was a professional dancer. I coached a high school dance team, eh, taught dance in studios, ran their programs, and I loved it. But being around the high school dancers, I was like spending my time teaching them how to write an essay instead of
Mm.
like really doing our
Dance.
choreography. I was like, let me really help you. Come. And so I realized, okay, I miss the school setting. I know I belong there. So I'm back to school and got my
Yeah.
teaching credential. I started off as single subject. I wanted to teach middle school, high school math of all things.
Oh
That did
gosh.
not work out so well. Could not pass that CSAT test, absolutely not, and I was like, "Okay, elementary it is." And I
Yeah.
did, in 1st grade. I was terrified of little people. I mean, I had told principals before, like, "Don't put me with the littles," and then they're like, "Kim, we have this position for you." And so I stepped in there and I fell in love. I fell in love with the puke and the I don't know, the not,
Everything.
the
Yeah.
issues, and I'm telling you, it was my happy place. I loved being with those little people every day. And then fast forward, just so many kids coming in with big behaviors, autism, ADD, ADHD, and for me, with a psychology background, I kind of did the things that I knew were good teaching
Yeah.
with a dance background too, and just being
And
animated.
coaching, just coaching in general.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally. But I knew that I needed, like, real answers, and so
Mhm.
I went and searched for them, and I went to a speech pathologist friend of mine who was at my campus, lucky enough to have her, she's brilliant, and she gave me a couple resources and was like, "Here, just take this and see what you think." And I was like, yeah, if they're with you for 30 minutes a day and they're with
Yeah.
me the rest of the school day, and then they go home to their parents, like, we all need to be speaking the same language. We need the same system. So, fast forward, I took what was going on in my classroom to social media. I didn't stop talking about it with my colleagues. Pretty soon, I had teachers from all across my district, like, at my door, my little 1st grade door at the end of the school day, going like, let us in, tell us your secret sauce." And so it kind of took on a life of its own. It really, really did. It was this sort of grassroots thing that was happening. Mm. And then I went to the district office and kind of created this own position for myself as a social emotional learning specialist, where I
Mhm.
got to coach teachers across our schools. We had across 18 elementary schools, 7 middle
Okay.
schools, and 4 high schools. And at the time, it was like Kim Gameroz party of one, here to save you
Yeah.
all, you know? So through
With
system,
no background, I'm sure, like, they were doing no prior work in SEL and just
it was like
what,
people didn't
like,
even know what that was. It
yeah.
wasn't even a word yet, and then COVID hit, and so with that, then I was supporting the families at home, and then after that is when we moved. We moved to Texas, and I really thought, "Okay, now's the time. Like, you can do what you did, you can recreate that, you can support whole school districts and schools in that way, but bigger across the country." And so fast forward, that's what I do. I created
There you
multiple
are.
businesses. I have a coaching business of teachers who pay out of pocket for Celebrate Good Times. They
Mhm.
to be coached in best practices. It's an entire coaching community. We have beautiful teacher retreats. We're going to New Mexico in just like
Saw
a
that.
few weeks. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
Love it.
but I also work with schools and school districts, and I
Yeah.
also come in and support the principals, the administrators, your entire teaching staff, and we put together a framework for you and coach you, and that's through Teaching Inside Out. That's my second
Mhm.
business, and it's also morphed into what's coming, which is a nonprofit, which is being able to give teachers the coaching that they need
Yeah.
for free.
Isn't that amazing?
I know,
I
and
saw your post. Yeah, it was yesterday, right? You were
yeah,
talking about that?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, I was like, "Dang, I wish I was still teaching and I could jump on this." But
I
one
know.
thing that I think is so cool about this, and I'm sure it's intentional, I talk about this a lot, but as teachers, we meet our kids where they are. And then somewhere along the way, district offices, administrators do not do that with their staff and their teachers. We give you a one size fits all. Here's a boxed PD. This is what you need. Every teacher needs something different. And I love how, with your multiple businesses, like you said, with your multiple platforms and ways that you are reaching teachers, you're giving them what they need, but you're meeting them where they are. You're
Yeah,
giving them multiple avenues, ways that they can connect and be a part of this community. It's not like I've got to go to the X conference to get what I need from Kim. Oh, you're literally reaching them in their living rooms, giving them retreats, giving them what they deserve, truly. And so I love it. That's why you're on here. I can't wait to dive into SEL. But a couple more questions as we wrap up this kind of get to know you part. And this one is a question I love asking all my guests. But who has been the biggest influence on you? It can be personal, professional, both, whatever you however you wanna answer that.
My child. For
Yeah,
sure. I mean, it's you have a kid and you, like, hold him as a little baby and you're like, "Okay, what's gonna happen with you?" You never really know, like, their little personality is gonna develop, and, the wires in their brain are gonna connect in a sort of way that you kind of me wonder, are there gonna be some lagging or lacking skills here socially, emotionally? And also, how do you tap into those? How do you teach into them in a way that they're going to understand? And so, I mean, he has been like my greatest little project, poor little guy,
and
at
he's probably
almost
like, "Mom."
at almost 13 years of age.
Yeah,
But I think he has pushed me, right? Because I'm the Bison lady. Like, I come in
mhm,
and I coach all the kids and all the
yeah,
teacher, but he'll throw me for a loop and go, "Okay, whoa, sit back in that for a bit. What does he really need? How are you really going to present this in a way that he's gonna understand and then be able to take it, and run with it?" Because in the end, that's what we want, right? Even as teachers, as mothers, as husbands, as people in society, we want good people. We want them to feel independent and be able to work in the world and be successful. So, yeah, him for sure. I would say
yeah,
him.
yeah, it's widely known in our house, like, grades are there, but grades are not what's most important, right? We want you to be the kind student in school, and we need more parents like that for sure. We need that mindset, not even just in parents, but in teachers, I think, in schools that kind of build that culture into the walls of their school as well. And so you taught first grade. I'm sure you probably could write another book all on these stories, but education's full of those moments you just are like, my goodness, you would not believe this. Share one with us. Would you not believe this moment?
I have so many. Okay, I got a
I
good one.
know.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites is, I had some students come in after lunch, and like it's like a buzz, right? Like in your
Oh
classroom
yeah.
after lunch, energy is high, and I was like, okay, they just need to chill. They're just gonna all chill. And I had a small group out in my like little library nook, right? And I had some students reading at their tables, and a little group over by the smart board. Everybody's all nice and chilling. Unbeknownst to me, during lunchtime, something had transpired between a couple students. And one of them was still hanging on to it and sitting there stewing, and it was brewing and it was bubbling. And all of a sudden, they jumped up and literally, like a gazelle, hopped over not one, not two, not three, but four desks into the library nook and decided to, ready for this? Bit their friend. Bit him,
Oh my
bit him,
gosh, like a wild animal.
bit him. And so I remember I was like,
And you're there.
"No, no, no, no." And all the kids, of course, looked at me like, "Mrs. Gameroz, what are you gonna do?" And it was in one of those moments, and it was the very beginning of my teaching career where I started crying. I was like, "I don't know what to do. I feel awful for you." And fast forward, I mean, now we prevent those things from happening. And I'm sure we'll
Mhm.
talk about some of those things too
Yeah,
today. Because kids do keep all that stuff to
they
themselves,
do.
and when you don't have the self-regulation or the problem-solving skills or the perspective taking, let's say, of others, it's tricky for your brain, and
Yeah,
so anyways, that's a good story. I just love it. I think
that
it is
is.
one's
Wow.
kind of like
And
it
you
pushes
imagine
you
just,
to go,
yeah, in the moment, you're like slow motion. It's just, you couldn't stop it.
How do I solve this? What do I do now?"
Oh, yeah, what I do? I just lost my job, so I'm just gonna pack up now. So on a more serious note, something before we get into today's topic, what is something about education that you wish people outside of education understood more?
That teachers are human. That we all have outside lives. We all have extra weight. We have that invisible backpack that we carry every single day into the classroom. And when that bell rings at the beginning of the school day, it's really, really tricky for teachers just to become this neutral robot and just to teach. And so we are not neutral. We come with a lot. In my book, I start off by saying, maybe your spouse lost their job for the second time or the
Mhm.
third time. Maybe you have an elderly parent who now has to be in a home and you're
Yeah.
navigating that. Maybe it's a sick child. It could be anything. Maybe it's some internal anxieties of just about life. And so I think people don't really realize that it's not just this neutral thing. We're not just a neutral human being. And I think
Yeah.
that's hard for some people to really wrap their brains
Yeah.
around.
It's good. Very good. Great answer.
Hmm.
Then they could kind of just reflecting on that answer too. I think for a lot of educators, they've been wired
Hmm.
to not believe that themselves. And I remember as a principal, like one of the biggest things that I got pushback on, especially like in my early couple years, when I told our teachers, turn off your class dojo, put on your quiet hours, do not check your email on the weekends. And I had teachers that were like ready to fight because no, like I'm not doing that. I'm keeping it on. And, I check my email every Saturday morning and like, no, it's not good for your mental health. You are human. You have in life outside this. Well, what if a parent needs me? It'll be there when you turn it back on. It's just having those conversations. And it is very unfortunate that our education system has come to that. And hopefully, people like you and I can drive it home that that is not how it should be.
Yeah. It's like all those
So,
tabs that are open in your brain,
mm,
right? Like, when I talk to my teachers, I'm like, okay, listen, it's like your spring break right now, or your spring break is next week, or whenever it's coming. So, are you the type of teacher that, like, you need to do that quick check so you can close the tab? If
yeah,
you leave it open, is it going to sit there and stew in you and you're not going to be able to, like, be an okay human being because it's still open? Okay,
yep,
then do it. Take care of that. Close the tabs. You do you, is what I always say. But yeah,
yeah,
don't hear that enough, like, "It's okay, you
yep,
do you, close the tabs." Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. You got it. So now let's get into today's topic. I already told everyone that we're going to look at SEL. I think SEL is a topic that all educators want to learn more about. There are very few people in education that can say like, "I got this." Luckily, we got you today. This is your area of expertise, but I also think you're going to give us a good perspective on what SEL really is, because I think a lot of people have this kind of just misnotion of what they think it is. And so some people call it a buzzword. I think it's a classroom essential, not just a buzzword. And you're the expert. Tell us more. What is SEL to you?
Well, a friend of mine, he said, "Social emotional learning is the air you breathe."
Mm,
And I would say SEL is the plate. It is the systems, it is the language that you speak. And I think starting off with what it's not is probably the
mm.
best way to
Yeah.
start. So, it is not anything extra that you do. There is no, in quotes, SEL time. If you're
Mhm.
doing social emotional learning the right way, it is happening. It is you and it's happening all day long. And it is in your students all day long because
Yes.
we are always social beings and you
Hmm.
are always an emotional being all day long, right? So it is not your morning meeting and just that. It is not talking about your favorite ice cream. It is not giving a this or that or a would you rather. That is not social emotional learning. When we're talking about social emotional learning, we're talking about perspective taking. So, can you take the perspective of others? We're also talking about cognitive flexibility. So, can you be flexible in your thinking? If things don't go your way or the plan has to shift and change, can you go with the flow? Can you navigate that successfully? It's solving problems. It's understanding the size of different problems and how to solve them on your own, or if and when you need somebody else to support you in that. It's also regulating yourself. So, do you understand that you're feeling a certain way? That's the first step. Do you even understand how you're feeling? Can you identify that? And then it's also the tools that you have to support yourself. And so, when you're talking about social emotional learning, that stuff is happening all day long, all day.
Hmm.
And it's also an executive functioning piece in there too.
Yeah.
So it's
Ooh,
goal
good.
setting and how do you meet that goal, the steps that you need to take. Again, being flexible if the plan needs to shift. It's all of that wrapped into one. And when I talk to teachers, they're like, "Well, how do I do that? How do
Hmm.
I do that all day long?" And truly, it comes from language and it comes from systems and
Yeah.
routine.
I'm gonna stop you for a second because one thing that I have picked up on just in this short time right here is everything that you just said did not pertain to the students, right? Community circle. when teachers say SEL is community circle, that's student only, and the teacher is so out of whack, that's the only thing they can do. Everything that you just described started with the teacher,
Yep.
right? The administrator, whoever's listening, it starts with the adult in the room. I talk about that a lot with like empathy. I say empathy has to be taught in schools, but it, the easiest way to teach it is by model it. And everything you just described was the teacher modeling to the students how we overcome adversity. When things don't go our way, what do we do? Do we ebb and flow the classroom? All of those things, it starts with the teacher. And so for some people, I think right there, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're right. Like I am not ready to start my day and teach the classroom. And so how do I do this? And so thank you. I
Mm.
know that is big for you, but I don't think a lot of people have heard that enough. That SEL is not student driven, it's adult driven in the
I
classroom. That's why we do
love,
it.
love that you said that.
Yeah.
That truly, Ross, that is this book behind me, Becoming a
Yep.
Bison.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I know that people, when they see my name, Kim Gameroz, they think, well, Becoming the Bison is just going to be what I do with kids,
Yes.
be what I teach the kids, because that's what I do, right? I help teachers teach the kids. But it is everything that you just said. It's you, what you're in control first, and how you can live and lead intentionally. That's it.
Yeah. So great episode. Thank you. We've done our work. We could though. I mean, truthfully, like that's it. If anybody takes anything today, take that
Mm.
you are a most important piece of your classroom because without you, then the other, the 20 little heartbeats in your classroom are not getting the best and what they deserve because you gotta take care of yourself first. But since we have time, let's continue on. And so teacher figures it out, got them self-regulated. They understand SEL now. But for a lot of teachers, what's next? Where does this start in the classroom, especially for those teachers that just aren't understanding, that probably think community circle is SEL and I'm done. What does it look like in the classroom? Give them like, some practical strategies that they can take with them after today.
So I think, I mean, back to my funny example of my student who was the gazelle jumping over the desks and like biting the child. Really, what would have prevented all of that is some work around the tools that you have to support yourself, that toolbox that lives inside your brain and your body,
Mhm.
whether you're inside the classroom or you're outside the classroom or even at home or even when you're playing soccer or at gymnastics. You have this toolbox inside of you that you can reach into, but you also need to be able to identify how you're feeling so that you choose the right tool to support you in the right moment. So I
Yeah.
would tell people, I mean, I am a big anchor chart fan. And
Okay.
usually what ends up happening if I have any new teachers following me or sliding into my email list or something, it's usually because of anchor charts. And so I
Okay.
would create an anchor chart with my kids. I would have a toolbox right there. And I would say, just call it like our toolbox. And then put arrows outside and just start naming things. I can take deep breaths. I can think positive thoughts. I can take a break. I can take a walk. I can go to a calm space.
Mhm.
I can choose a fidget, but like explicitly teaching what all of those things are. If you just say, yeah, you can take a break, and a kid's like, I'm out of here, and like leaves the classroom. No, what does a break
Yeah.
really look like? And so systems and routines with all of that, but that's where I would start. Second piece to that is having kids start to check in. So
Okay.
how they're feeling throughout the day. So I would love another sort of a feelings check in on their actual door because kids are moving in and out all day long. Got to go out to recess. We got to come in after it's over. We got to go out to lunch. We got to come in, right? We go out to
Yeah.
library. We come back in. Think about all the times they're coming in and
Yep.
out. It's a great visual for them to go, how am I feeling now? And also, what am I going to choose to support myself? And just because a kid is calm or happy or ready to learn, that does not mean that they don't need tools. You still like,
Yes.
I'm happy, I'm calm, but I still have my water. I still have like
Yep.
a fish below me, eat it. I'm still thinking positive thoughts. I'm still taking deep breaths. So that conversation also is wrapped in there, but constantly checking in. How do you feel? What do you need to support yourself? We got a big test coming up, you guys. Check in. How are you feeling? Are you a little
Mhm.
anxious? Are you feeling a little frustrated already? It hasn't even been put down on top of your desk yet. What are you going to use? What tool is there to support you? So, that again, that's a conversation and a system that becomes you and them.
And it becomes very natural. You know,
Mhm.
it's not something that's structured. Once you implement this and you get it going, it's just natural in your day, and it's literally taking 10 seconds. You know, it's not something we have to stop the class, everybody, you eyes on the board, eyes on me. It's just we're flowing in and out of this day, and I love the anchor charts, and I'm big on, like, visual learners. You know, you got the anchor chart that you can put up there. Go to Amazon, buy, 50-cent toolboxes to put on each kid's desk. Give them something that they can, like, "Okay, there's my toolbox. I'm gonna grab an imaginary tool out of that toolbox that we can pull from." I think that's so important.
Yeah, and
And so
it's a proactive thing also. Think about that, right? It's very
yep.
proactive instead of reacting like after the gazelle and the biting incident. That would be a
Yes.
reacting, right? But if we were proactive and they were coming in and checking in, how are you feeling? What
Mhm.
tool are you gonna use? And I could see also, whoa, this kid and this kid and this kid, you're coming in after lunch and something
Yeah.
happened. Right now, I can be proactive also and support them if they need me. So yeah, I think proactive versus reactive, that's all part of your social emotional
Yes.
intelligence.
Amen. You are preaching to the choir there. I was the principal.
Yeah.
My first year, I looked like the BMV. There was take a ticket, before, and I would get to you. I had a line of kids coming out of my office, and I remember saying, "I can't do this. Like, this is not fun. I didn't know I'm going back to the classroom. Something is going to happen." And it clicked for me. I was being so reactive, which wasn't what I did in the classroom. That's why I struggled. But I thought in this administrative role, I just had to be reactive, right? It was like, take a ticket, here's your consequence, see you later. Take a
Yep.
ticket, here's your consequence, see you later. You got a good lecture out of me in between there, and that was it.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I said, okay, I've got to be proactive in what I'm doing. When slashed, and it always all these preventative measures that myself and then also our teachers put in place
Yeah.
to eliminate the behaviors because our students, I say this all the time, they don't wake up and say, I'm going to make your life miserable today. They don't wake up and say, I'm going to get in a fight today at school or bite like my friend after
Friend.
lunch. But things happen throughout the day and they don't have the tools, like you said, to figure it out and make the right choice in the moment. It's up to us. So that brings me to my next question. The real reason we do this, yes, it's for our teachers, but ultimately it's for our kids. Why is this so important for our students?
We want them to be able to be successful in the world, right?
Mm,
And I love the quote like, we need to teach them how the world works so
yeah.
that they can work and be successful in the world. And that has just stuck with me forever because I mean, I had kids. I remember I had a blind student, I had nonverbal kids, I had autism, and again, if it's a spectrum and the spectrum looks kind of like this, right? And there's dials for sensory needs and emotional regulation and perspective taking. And even if you can have a conversation with your peers, I mean, it's a spectrum with all of these kids. How do you ensure that everybody is successful? Well, you got to meet them where they're at, right? And give them
Yeah.
what they
Yep.
need. And if you can't figure that out, that's a problem. But the whole thing is, and that's what I've built my businesses on is we need to not only empower our adults, but we need to equip them as well.
Yes.
And when that's missing, either piece is missing, it doesn't bode well, very well
Yeah.
for those schools, for the school districts, for those children. And
Yeah.
so that's what we need to do first is again, empower and equip the adults so that then they can teach these kids so that all kids can be successful in the world.
Great. That's great. I think you see how you know more of this than I do because you do this work. But do you see a lot of schools? I think I do. See a lot of schools that like handle their teachers really well, are giving them tools, but then like there's a disconnect between their students, or vice versa. We like focus our attention on the students really well, and then our teachers are running around, screaming their heads chopped off in the hallways.
Mhm. Mhm.
It,
I think
it, there's
that's
a
it.
bridge there, like you said. Like we have to combine these two and do them both really well in order to see that success.
I was at, a school recently, and, I had a teacher who was one of those teachers just overwhelmed and kind of going like, "Ah, like, I'm done, I'm done."
Yeah, this
I was like,
scream.
"Right," and I was like, "Okay, well, what can we do? Can we agree that the one thing that we need across your entire campus is consistency?" And she was like, "Oh, I love that."
Mhm.
Yeah, it's consistency. I was like, "Great. So is the consistency piece gonna come from this one system that I'm teaching you today? Is it gonna come from this one phrase that I taught you today? Let's decide right now what that
Yeah.
consistency is gonna look like and sound like." And she was like, "Great. Perfect." And that's it. That's it. But you need I mean, again, my second company is called Teaching Inside Out for a reason. We look from the outside in so you can teach from the
Yep.
inside out. So you can be that human. So you can use your heart in your teaching. But you need somebody from the outside to support you in that. You don't have to put
Yeah.
that pressure on you. Put it on me. I will
Yeah.
gladly take that on,
Yeah.
right? That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Bring it on. I think it's so important. Like what you just said, like it wasn't rocket science.
No.
We got to simplify education. And so many times when we're in the mix, we don't see that from an outside perspective. So I think it's great that you can come in and say, outside voice, what do you want to do? A or
Yep.
B? We don't have to do 13 different things here. A or B. Let's do it well. That's what you need. And so kind of leads me into my next couple of questions. One is just teacher wellness. We have way too many teachers running around screaming in the bathroom because they need to vent somewhere and they run into the restroom. It's like, ah! Let's do this. Let's give our teachers that are listening three tools when it comes to teacher wellness that they can do today to improve themselves.
Okay. First things first, I wrote an entire book on it right there. So
Yep.
I'm gonna give you there's like 4 parts of that book. I'm gonna give you 1, 2, and 3, right? So the first thing is there needs to be some sort of understanding that we need to teach social and emotional skills. You cannot expect them.
Hmm.
So when you finally realize that kids are kids and that
Yeah.
you need to teach them the skills that might be lagging or lacking within them. You understand that's not a you thing anymore, right? Because so much of it is I see a fire, I need to control it, I need to put it out, I need to fix it, it needs to go away. But when you understand that we can't expect these skills from kids and we need to teach into them, then you kind of go, okay, I can get curious. I don't have to get furious, right?
Yes.
I can be calm. I can be the calm in the storm when I
Mhm.
understand that. So that's the first thing is an understanding of that. It's not a you thing. You're going to teach social emotional skills. You can't expect them, right? That kind of goes, I could take a deep breath. That feels
Yeah.
like that feels like air to me, right?
Yes.
The second thing is that you need to be intentional so others notice. You need to create a sense of intentionality around you, and you get to decide what you want it to look like and what you want people to notice. So, again, take the control back. If I want people to know that I am a kind and caring educator, well, then what are you going to intentionally do? What does your classroom intentionally look like or feel like or smell like? So that you are showing people that and they notice that, right? Um, the third thing is find your herd, I would say, which is all about
Yes.
find your people. You cannot do this work alone. You need to be surrounded by your people. And your people are people that are running this marathon of teaching behind you. They are the ones that are looking to you going like, "Oh, I don't know. Can I do this?" But it's also the people who are running alongside you who are in the journey with you, and it's also the ones who are in front of you who are expanding you. You need every single one of them and note to self like your students are part of your herd also
Yeah.
and those families are part of your herd also. And you also are in control of finding the other people who you need in your life. And so, I mean,
That's good.
that's why I have Celebrate Good Times in that whole community because it's a lot of teachers who are burnt out, frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, and they know that they can't do this work alone. And so, those 3 things for sure. It is teach social motor skills, don't expect them. Be intentional so others notice, which is your Bison, Bison.
You got it.
Then the last thing is find your herd, find your people. You're not meant to do this work alone.
And just like I'll add to that last piece, I was guilty of this when I was a young, very young principal. I was in a rural district here in Indiana. We didn't have a large admin team. No one on my admin team thought the way I did, was thinking like, outside the box and doing some of this stuff. And I was so like lonely and it was
Only
like, it's terrible. And when I found my herd, it was no one even from the same state as I was in. but it was all like-minded people, and we use social media to connect. We use to get your teach on community to connect, and then all of a sudden, it was like doors just open for me. Those people weren't open them for me,
Mhm.
but being surrounded and finding my herd was like unbelievable. So to add to that, and I know, you have so many people that you connect with all over the country. Like, if you're in that moment where you feel like, I don't know, I really don't connect with anybody in my school, my teaching team, we're just not meshing. That's okay. You do have to work with them still, but it's okay. Your herd may not be anywhere around you. Connect all over the world.
I mean, again, we have our retreat for a reason
Yeah.
because, yes, we connect over Zoom twice a month. We have a coaching in your back pocket. Like we're on an app all the time, chit chatting and giving you intentions and supporting you with behaviors and everything. But the in person stuff, that's when the magic happens. That's when you truly feel that real connection. And there is nothing like being surrounded by your herd, by your people who, again, it feels like a breath of fresh air. You don't have to cover up anything. You can literally crack yourself open and know that the people are going to love you and support you and run alongside you just because you're you. That is the entire community.
Yeah.
It's so
That
special. You need your
makes you feel
people,
so, yeah, you need it. Makes you feel so, just so good in the work, I think, when you do that and find that.
essential.
As we start to wrap this up, we've got a couple questions at the end, but you got your brand new book. Anything else? Obviously, we want to give it all away. We want them to go out and buy this book because it's amazing. But is there anything that you want to share about becoming the bison?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, bison run into storms. And when I heard that there's a difference between bison and cattle and how cattle run away, they're afraid, and bison are fearless and they have their herd and they know that the only way to get out of this storm faster is to go straight through it. I kind of went, "Oh, this is a mindset thing." And
Yes.
this is a teacher mindset thing, but it's also a kid mindset thing. And
Hmm.
so when we teach our students how to be bison, how to have grit and growth mindset and perseverance, I mean, that is the magic in all of this. But it doesn't just start with the kids, just like what we were saying before. It's
Yeah.
not like you can just like just do with them. You have to do the inner work first. You need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Like what you said, you talked at the very beginning about balance. And in a part in the book, I wrote about how I hate the word balance, but
Yeah.
I like the word harmony. And yes, I
Hmm.
have done intentional work to create a sense of harmony because I want people around me to feel like I have time for them, like they're
Yes.
seen and they're valued. And that is the be intentional so others notice. It's the things that you can control, the things that you truly need in order to thrive, not
Yep.
just in the classroom setting, but in leadership and in life. And so that is the book. That's Becoming the Bison. And it's a love letter to teachers. It truly
Yeah.
is, because I know that so many of them right now are going, something's got to change. And
Yes.
so
Oh yeah.
this is it.
There
This is what you bring
record
to.
number of people saying, I mean, they're tapping out
Yeah.
or something's got to give,
Yep.
and so the perfect timing. I got to ask though, like, I feel like the book could have gone like 10,000 different directions with 10,000 chapters. Like, did you struggle saying, okay, I want to keep it here
Yeah.
because there's so much to this. I mean, it's a truly like a movement in education.
It's crazy because DBC, Dave Burgess Consulting, he's the one that was like, Kim, okay, listen, if we're gonna publish a book, like it's gonna be a manifesto. And I was like, I'm gonna give you a manifesto, Dave. Like just and so I had given him we started off with 40,000 words. And at the time, Ross, I was not in a happy place. There was
Mm,
so much stuff that had just happened and so many things that were kind of like making me just like, I gotta get this all out. Right.
yep. I
And it started
understand
off
that.
as like a
Yeah.
diary. It really was like a diary where I just needed to like purge and get everything out and off of me. And they came back, my editor, and he was like, "So we took out 30,000. We left you with 10. What do you want to do?
Woo!
Want to do with this?" And I was like, "Woohoo!" So with that though, it gave me the framework of like, here are your stories. Here
Yeah.
are the stories that are really going to resonate with the educators, with parents, with leaders. And now, what do you really want to teach them through all of this?
Yeah.
And so I kind of like I literally woke up at like 2 in the morning one morning, and I looked at my husband, I was like, "I got it. I have it all."
He's like, go
Not
back to bed.
I know. I did not stop writing. I think I started at 2 AM. I don't think I stopped until maybe like 2 in the afternoon, and it was like, "This is it." It just all of a sudden clicked and came to life where I was like, "This is what teachers need now. This is that social emotional solution that they need right
Yep.
now." So, that is becoming a
That's
Bison.
it. And what a Bison thing to do and humbling experience. I think a lot of people in that case would have gave up. You cut me to 10,000 from 40,000. Like, okay, maybe this just isn't for me.
Right.
But you knew you had a message, you knew that you had a job to do here, and so cool. All right, we gotta wrap this thing up. We're over time already, but that's okay because this is worth it, and educators need to hear this. But a couple questions that I liked to wrap up with. One is, what advice do you give to educators on a daily basis? And that's not SEL. How about that? Because we have talked so much about this, but what advice do you give to educators?
I'm trying to think of like a conversation that we even had today. Well, I would say take a step back.
Okay,
Take a step back
good.
is what I would say. So often we are quick to react, quick to fix something. And I would say take a step back and really ask the question, you've noticed something? What's up?
Yep,
And I feel like when teachers are like, oh, okay, let me kind of get curious here and try to figure out what's really going on and then come up with some possible solutions, some empathy in there, and then have the kid's voice in it. I think that's game changing as a
you
classroom
bet.
community with individual kids.
Yeah,
That's social emotional learning, but take a step back is what I would say.
that's good. Some people never do that, and then they finish a 20-year career where the
Yes.
majority of it was with a lot of resentment and
Mhm.
anger, and it's not okay. And then the second question is, what advice do you give to students on a daily basis?
Students, well, it would be how are you going to be a bison today?
Yeah.
Right? And so
Yep.
I'm a bison when I choose a smart spot. I'm a bison when I think positive thoughts. I'm a bison when I keep going even when it's hard. I'm a bison when I fill in the blank. And so, I mean, I think instilling that mental strength in kids is absolutely everything. So that's it. How are you going to be a bison today?
Awesome. I knew this was going to be an awesome conversation, but it was even better than I thought it was going to be. So thank you, Kim, for sharing your story, your heart for this work, but most of all, just pouring into educators today. They needed it. And the work you're doing is needed so much across our country and every school that I have come in contact with over the last 4 or 5 years all across the country. And I think you got some job security ahead of you.
Thank you.
And so thank you so much. Before we get off here, share with our listeners if they have not connected with you yet, how can they do so?
Yeah. Super easy way is through Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl through and through. Celebrate good times, like the song, Celebrate Good Times. That's
Yeah.
it. But with an SEL, that's where you want to go if you are an educator, if you are looking for support, if you want anchor charts, if you want community, that's where you land. And if you are a district leader, an administrator, you go to teaching inside out. And so my team and I are here to support you, to pour into your educators because you, as an administrator, you don't have to do this work alone. There are people that can support you in this work, and we coach and guide and give you your next best steps. We'll meet you where you're at and give you everything that you need so that your teachers and your students and their families can thrive.
Yeah, we just speak the same language. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So, thank you again, Kim, and to all of our listeners. Thank you again, as always, for just being a part of the school life community for the school life series. Just tuning in each week, each guest. We get so much positive feedback from this. If there is ever a guest that you want to hear or a topic that you need, this was actually a topic that several people said I need help with, and
Love.
here's Kim. And so share it out, let us know. But until next time, keep doing the good work, keep choosing positivity, and go out and be great today.